Welcome back to Evan's Quick Picks for UFC. This is UFC Vegas 61, Mackenzie Dern versus Zhang Yan. Later on, I will make my prediction for that fight, but let's jump right in with the prelims. We're starting off with Randy Costa taking on Guido Canetti in the bantamweight division. Costa comes into this fight as a 3-1 favorite. Thereabouts. He's 2-3, and he's got back-to-back losses. I think we all know that his major issue is his cardio, and that's what has gotten him in trouble in the past. But I don't think Guido Canetti is really that high level an opponent, and I think the UFC is really giving him this fight to more of a jump start for the rest of his career. And I think he will be able to go out round one, won't need the cardio, and he's just going to pressure Canetti, land that big shot, and finish this fight by knockout in round one. Moving on to the women's bantamweight division, we've got Chelsea Chandler taking on Julija Stolirenko. This is a pick'em, both women, -105, -115. You can see it -110. But I'm going to go with this was also a pick'em, but I'm going to go with the UFC veteran in Julija Stolirenko. She just got her first UFC win a couple months ago over Jessica Rose Clark by that armbar that she's known for, and I think she does it again here. Chandler, she doesn't have the UFC experience. She only has 5 professional fights. This could be more of a teaching moment for her. I think she'll probably, she's a pretty solid wrestler, so I think she'll go in for the takedown, and Stolirenko will kind of let it happen as she knows that Chandler's going to leave that arm exposed. She'll leave the arm exposed, grab the arm, and win this fight by a first, maybe second round, but I see this being first round submission win for Julija Stolirenko. Moving up the card, we've got Maxime Griffin versus Felipe Lins in the light heavyweight division. I'm going to go with the -180 favorite here in Maxime Griffin. Tough fight here. Griffin is a much better striker than Lins. Lins is a much better grappler than Griffin. But I think I'm more confident as Griffin is an overall better fighter. He's got, over 40 professional fights. Both guys are in their older years. Griffin's 38, Lins is 37, so neither guy really has an age advantage. But I don't think Lins is going to be able to easily get this fight to the ground, and the longer this fight stays on the feet, the more it favors Griffin. He might be able to get it there once, maybe twice during the fight. I just don't think he's going to be able to do much with it. Griffin is going to land shots on the feet that are going to impress the judges, and they will score more points on those scorecards and will earn him a decision victory. Next, in one of my favorite fights of the night, middleweights, we've got Brendan Allen taking on Krzysztof Jotko. Allen comes into this +110, Jotko -130. I'm going to lean towards the favorite in this fight in Krzysztof Jotko. Tough fight, though. I think whoever wins this fight will be the next guy into the top 15. Allen is much younger than Jotko, but I really do think that, Allen's going to look for those takedowns. He's got 10 submission wins in his career, and I think he's, going to try and look for another one. And I don't think he's really going to have I think Jotko is going to provide him with a hard time getting this fight to the ground. And I don't think that he's a better striker than Jotko. I think Jotko has the striking advantage in this fight overall. Allen's got pretty good kicks, but other than that, I like Jotko's striking better. And I think that, Allen has poor defense, and Jotko is going to be able to find the holes in that defense, land powerful shots, impress the judges, and earn a decision victory. In the lightweight division, we've got Jesse Ronson taking on Joachim Silva. And this is, once again, a lot of these prelims are very close. In his last 2 fights, Silva has proven that his chin is pretty much glass. He's been knocked out twice in a row, once in I think it was 37 seconds. But he does have the grappling advantage, and Ronson has proven absolutely nothing since being in the UFC. And because of that, Silva has wins in the UFC. He's shown that he can get fights to the ground, use grappling, submissions, win fights. And I think that's what he does here. I don't think he ends up getting a submission, but I do think he ends up using that grappling, setting up submissions and grinding out a decision victory while avoiding the power of Ronson. But he does need to be careful. Can't stay on the feet too long because I think he will end up getting cracked. Next up, we've got UFC veteran Jessica Penne returns after her loss to Emily Ducote, and she takes on another up-and-comer in Tabitha Richie. I think this one is pretty clear. I think this is going to be Tabitha Richie by a decision. It's going to look very similar to the Emily Ducote fight. I think Richie has the advantage in pretty much everything. She's younger. She's going to be faster. She has better striking. She might look for takedowns. Either way, I think she's going to be able to do pretty much whatever she wants against Jessica Penne and win this fight by a unanimous decision. Now, in the heavyweight division, we've got Olynyk and Ilir Latifi. Alexei Olynyk, man, he just keeps keeping around. He's 45 years old. He just got his 60th professional MMA win. It's like anytime you think that guy's going out, he's not. And I actually think he gets a second win in a row here against Ilir Latifi. He has that really weird striking with those like overhands that really don't look like they should do anything, but they do, because you don't know. He confuses people because they don't know how to defend it because they don't really know what's coming at them. And I think that's how he is able to set up for a submission. I do think Latifi is going to want to take this to the ground. That's normally his style, but that's dangerous with Olynyk. Olynyk can find a submission anywhere, and I think that's what he does. I think later in this fight, I think it'll be pretty close. I actually think Olynyk is going to win around using that weird striking. I think Latifi will win around from using his, wrestling. I think he's a better wrestler than Olynyk. But I think that in that last round, as Ilir Latifi tires, they're heavyweights, they're going to tire, but just seems like you can't really put Olynyk away. And I don't think Latifi's going to be able to do it. I think he's going to try and get the fight to the ground. He will, but he's going to leave something open, and Olynyk will hop on, grab that submission, and win via a third round submission. Now we move into the main card. We've got Mike Davis taking on Vyacheslav Borshev. I'm going to take Mike Davis by a decision here in the lightweight division. I think Davis is a better grappler and wrestler than Borshev. He's shown that in the UFC and in his earlier parts of his career. He's gotten some victories on the ground, and I think he's going to be able to use that grappling, get the fight to the ground, win at least two of these rounds like that. I do think Borshev has the striking advantage, but I think that Davis's grappling is going to be too much for Borshev to overcome, and I think Davis will win his third straight fight. Moving to the bantamweight, this is actually a catchweight fight at 140, but usual bantamweights. This is, I'm going to say this is my, other than the Sadiq Yusuf fight, which we'll talk about later, I'm going to say this is my lock of the night here. John Castaneda versus Daniel Santos. I think this is a great fight to bet on at -185, -190, wherever you can find it. I think should be like, I just think he's proven that he's a really good fighter. I don't think Santos has proven all that much. I know that Santos has never been put away, and I don't think that happens here either. I think Castaneda is able to win this fight by a decision, but I think he can win it really any way he wants to. I think he'll use the early rounds to use that volume of striking that he can put on to Santos, pressure him with that, then get the fight to the ground, look for a submission, just show a dominant performance, and win a unanimous decision. Like I said, now we have this Sadiq Yusuf fight versus Don Shanice. Sadiq Yusuf, top 15 featherweight. Don Shanice has never fought in the UFC. this is just one that's really easy to predict, I think. I mean, there's always that chance. Shanisa said it himself. He's going to come out of left field, knock out Yusuf. I mean, he is a finisher, but I don't think that happens here. I think Yusuf is too good for that. Yusuf is just going to take the tactical approach here, stay on the outside, avoid any pressure that Shanise puts on, land his own strikes. And eventually, I think, as Shanise tires in the second or third round, Yusuf will find a home for a powerful shot and win this fight by a knockout. And maybe, I don't know if he'll actually move up the rankings with this win, but he'll keep his ranking with this win. In the bantamweight division, we've got Raoni Barcelos versus Trevin Jones. Barcelos comes in as over a 2-1 favorite, and I think that's for good reason. This could be another lock for me. I think Barcelos is just better really anywhere this fight goes. He's on a losing streak. Both of these fighters are, but I think he ends that on Saturday with a pretty dominant decision win over Trevin Jones. I think he'll land more strikes if he chooses to take this fight to the ground. I think he'll be able to do it and win this fight by a unanimous decision. And in the co-main event, we've got Randy Brown and Francisco Trinaldo. This fight is one that should definitely be a lock, and that should be Randy Brown. Randy Brown is much younger, much taller, much lengthier. But Francisco Trinaldo has proven at 44 years old that he can still be a force in this division. He's won 4 of his last 5, 2 in a row. So I would not be counting Trinaldo out of this fight. But I am going to go with Randy Brown. I do think that length and that height is going to be too much. He'll use that striking. He'll use that length to use his striking and outpoint Trinaldo on the feet and win this fight by a decision. But I do think Trinaldo has a chance to win this fight. But like I said, I'm going to stick with Randy Brown, and he will win his 4th fight in a row and move closer toward those rankings in the featherweight division. And in the main event, we've got the women's top 10 women's strawweights, Mackenzie Dern and Zhang Nanyan. I'm going with Mackenzie Dern here, but I do think that Zhang Nanyan is getting a little disrespected in the odds here at a 2-1 underdog. Zhang Nanyan has, other than her last 2 fights, one of which was a loss to the champion, and then another top contender. She has been very good. I mean, she came in and people thought, including myself, that she would be have a fight against Zhang Weili, and that would be kind of a super fight there. But she lost her last 2, and I think people have really fallen off of her. But I am going to stick with Mackenzie Dern here. I do think Zhang Nanyan looks good in the early parts of the fight. She's going to, she's a better striker. She's going to use that striking. Look like she might end up winning this fight, but I think eventually Dern is going to use that jiu-jitsu background, either find a takedown or use the clinch to set up a submission. And I think she'll eventually get it in the 3rd or 4th round and maybe get a number 1 contenders fight in her next fight. And that'll do it for my UFC Fight Night Dern versus Jan predictions, UFC Vegas 61. If you like these picks, let me know and lock them in on your bets, and see you next time.